And Jason, this one goes to you first. What is your opinion on the NLX rail and your reasoning for that opinion?
Right now, I believe the vast majority of the people in this area are opposed to the NLX line, and right now I am opposed to it as well. I just do not see that it serves the needs of the people, and at the $1 billion price tag that comes along with it, I just do not see that that kind of expenditure serves an immediate need for this area. We've already heard others talking tonight about our roads. To me, we should be funding our road projects first, and then in areas like this, public transportation is served so much better through busing. By fixing our roads, we create the lanes for our buses to use, which become very flexible and can go pick our seniors up at their door. If you have a large route, you increase the size of the bus. You change the routes day to day if needed. That serves the needs of our people so much better and would be a much better use of our money rather than $1 billion on a train that's going to go through this area and really bring no benefit to this area. It will not serve the needs of people traveling to the Twin Cities or Duluth for work. It's not going to serve the needs of people who want to go to the Twin Cities to do their school shopping or anything like that. And it's not going to serve people who want to go on a vacation because you can't bring your fishing equipment or your boat or anything like that. So do we need to look at public transportation? I believe that we do. But the rail projects need to be confined to the high-density population areas, and this area does not meet that criteria.
Tim, what is your opinion on the NLX rail and your reasoning for that opinion?
Well, I'm not sold that it's the right thing to do, but I'm not as dead set against it as Jason is either. I want to see the final studies before I would make a conclusion on it one way or the other. The preliminary study said that it would actually show profit. And so if that's what the final study said, I'm much more optimistic about it than what Jason is. Now, and I do think that it serves a purpose. When I've been out door knocking, I've had people tell me, boy, we got to get that in. My husband needs to get down to the VA hospital in Minneapolis, and I can't drive anymore. If we had the rail, we could get on, we could be there in a couple hours, and it goes right to the door between the different connections. And so this would be a good thing for us. There are people in this district that would use it. But bottom line is that for me, they need to convince me that it will at least break even or make money before I would support it. And if they can't do that, then I won't support it either.
Thank you. Tim, back to you for the next question. Would you ever take a vote which goes against the will of the majority of the people in this district because you thought it was right? Would you ever take a vote which goes against the will of the majority of the people in this district because you thought it was right?
Absolutely, I would. And I've asked a very similar question to this for years. As long as I've been following politics, I've asked this question. I worded the question just a little bit different. But the best answer I ever got was from two people, Paul Wellstone and Roger Crawford. And their answer was, we're a representative democracy. It's our duty as elected officials to know more than maybe the average public does about the issue, so that when we cast that vote, we're voting for what we know is right. And I agree with that. I think that that's absolutely right. We have to do that. And I said that before, that's my promise, is I'm going to do that. And so, you know, a part of that promise, though, is that I will always listen to the people. And I've listened to people about things, and I've given them the opportunity to change my mind on it. And then you have to weigh one person's argument on one side against the people on the other side, and you have to look and say, well, which one has the better argument? And then you say, okay, if they have a better argument, so I'm going to take that side. And so I think that absolutely is the right answer, and I believe very strongly. And if you take a look at Washington, D.C., and the mess that is in Washington, D.C. today, and the problems that we in this country have because of the mess in Washington, D.C. Just about every problem we have is because there are too many politicians in Washington, D.C. that vote for the next election instead of what's good for the next generation. And you name the problem, and 9 times out of 10, that is the source of the problem. It's too many politicians that are worried about the next election instead of the next generation. So I appreciate Roger's answer on that. I think it was the right answer. I agree with him 100%, and that is my commitment, that I will go to what I believe is best, even if it's not popular, because, I mean, how can you possibly vote for something you know is bad or you know is wrong? That just baffles me. I don't know how anyone could do that.
Before we get to Jason, Roger, have you ever been quoted by a Democrat before?
Just, yeah,
But my quote is correct, isn't it, Roger?
substantially.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, Jason, would you ever take a vote which goes against the will of the majority of the people in this district because you thought it's right?
The only way I would be willing to go against the will of the people, as Tim mentioned, is if you're privy to some information that you know that the people are not. If it's just a matter of my opinion versus the people's opinion, no, I will not vote against the will of the people just because I don't agree. It would only be because I have access to information that I know most people don't have, and if they did have it, they would change their minds also.
Okay, thank you. And this is our last question, I believe, unless, that's our last question. So Jason, goes to you first. The child protection system has been in the state and national news, especially in the past 6 months, following 2 high-profile reports. What do you propose to do with Minnesota's child protection system?
That is a difficult one. It's a fine line trying to protect our kids and not overreacting and stepping in a situation where an accusation is made that's not warranted. I know we always want to try to say, err on the side of protecting our children, and 99% of the time that is the right course of action. But I think we do have to be willing to act quickly to find out the details and to find out the truth so that we're not breaking up families when it's not warranted. But we do need to, there are so many issues like this and with domestic violence where the victims of the crimes are being treated terribly. And that is something that we absolutely have to address. And it is issues like this that I believe should be listed as some of our top priorities as we're going and setting our budget, and fund these issues first. And then when we have other issues that come along, things that we maybe want, if we've already spent the money on our priorities and our budget is used up, then we have to do without. But I think these are things that we need to set as our priorities and work to help the victims of these crimes. And it drives me crazy when we look at these prisons and when people are convicted of these crimes and how they're treated, and then we see how the victims are treated. We need to reverse that. And is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. But the legislature needs to work with many of these organizations to determine what will be the best course of action to help the victims.
Tim, the child protection system has been in the state and national news, especially in the last 6 months, following 2 high-profile reports. What do you propose to do with Minnesota's child protection system?
That's a good question, and Jason, I think you gave a great answer. And I think that this is a significant issue and problem. I believe it was in Pine County just within the recent past, last couple of years, that the county went out to a place, they investigated the place, and they said, and this is a problem, we've got to do something. And for whatever reason, they walked away, and within a few days, there was a fire and some of the children died. So this is not just, we need to do this because it's the right thing to do. We need to do this to save lives of our children. And unfortunately, a lot of times the reason the right thing isn't done is because there isn't enough financial resources to do the right thing. And that should never be the reason why that doesn't happen. So I'm glad that Jason says this is one of his priorities. Unfortunately, too many people from your party think it is one of the extras instead of one of the top priorities. And it has unfortunately been put on the back burner too many times. And so this is something that we need to work on, something that we need to make sure is funded properly and move forward to fix this problem, because it is a problem. And so that's where I'm at. But good answer.
Thank you. We've come to our end of our questions. A couple of reminders and then some thanks. 2 dates. October 21st, back here in this room, we have our county candidates for county commission, county sheriff, and county attorney to put them through the ringer, much as we've done with these good folks tonight. So keep that on your calendar. Please make it back next week for that session. And then November 4th. November 4th is Election Day. It's our duty as citizens of the Republic to exercise our vote. I encourage everyone to get out, have a high participation rate, make an informed decision, go to the polls and vote, please.